My name is Mira Khan. I am 29 years old and I live in Austin, Texas, in a small second-floor apartment over a coffee shop where the smell of roasted beans climbs the stairs every morning and makes me feel like I woke up inside a warm kitchen. I married Evan 3 years ago after we met at a volunteer shift, and his mother, Denise, came with the package the same way weather comes with a season, sometimes clear and sometimes not, and from the first year, she decided my birthday was not something she needed to notice. I am not going to reveal the end of this story yet, but the title you gave me is true in spirit. She ignored my birthday every year, and one day I acted like I forgot hers, and I did it where other people could see, and what happened after that changed how our family treats respect. If you are watching this, tell me which country and city you are in, and if you like honest, no-filler stories that move fast and land hard, join our platform so you do not miss the next one. And now I will take you back to the first time the CE pattern started. The first year was easy to forgive. We were newlyweds, holidays were stacked like boxes in a small room, and Denise said she mixed up dates because her phone did not sync right, and I said it was fine because I wanted it to be fine, and I told myself grown adults do not need a fuss anyway. She remembered Evan's birthday with a cake big enough to serve a softball team. She mailed his sister a card with a long note and a gift card tucked in, and when mine came around, she texted, "Hope it's a good one," a day late at 10:47 p.m., which is the kind of time that tells you the message was an afterthought. The second year, she said birthdays were for children, that adults should be grateful every day instead of circling one day in red, and she said it with a tone like a rule. And I nodded because arguing over cake felt small, but I saved the message because words matter when they become habits. The third year, she hosted a dinner for a neighbor's birthday 2 weeks after ignoring mine again, and I watched her light candles and clap and take pictures, and I understood that her rule only applied to me. None of this broke the marriage. The marriage was good and survived worse weather than a missed song, but it put a small stone in my shoe that never left, and the walk never felt the same. Evan asked her to try, he reminded her. He set a calendar invite, and she told him she does not run her life by phone alerts, and that his wife should not be so sensitive, and that was the first time she used the word sensitive like an insult, and I learned what kind of fight we were in. I started to mark my own day in quiet ways, coffee with a friend, a plant for the window, a nice dinner at home with a cake I made for myself because I like cake and I can bake, and it was okay, but it was not equal, and the more I said it did not matter, the more I noticed that it did. I keep lists for work and I keep receipts for everything, not because I need proof to win arguments, but because I like to see patterns, and a pattern was very clear. She could be generous when she chose, and she chose not to be generous to me. In this one simple way, and sometimes a small slight repeated becomes a statement about where a person thinks you belong. Then came the message that set the stage. Denise announced she wanted a nice dinner, nothing crazy for her 60th, and she asked if I could handle the logistics, because I am good at planning and Evan will be too busy, and she used the kind of tone people use when they assign a task to an assistant, and I said yes because saying no right then would sound petty, and I wanted the result, not the rush of a fast answer. I booked a private room at a restaurant she likes. I built a guest list from her notes. I put a budget sheet in a shared folder and sent it to Evan and his sister, and I did the unglamorous work that makes events feel easy. While I worked, I kept returning to one simple rule she said out loud more than once. Birthdays are for children, adults should not expect attention, and in-laws are not family in the same way as blood. I could have planned a perfect party and swallowed the insult again, but a better idea formed that was not cruel, not illegal, and not loud, and it matched her rule, step for step. I decided to follow her rule exactly in front of everyone. And that one line was the plan written in plain English, with no sharp edges hiding inside it. I sent the invitations the way she wanted, but I changed 6 words at the top that mattered. Join us for dinner with Denise, not a birthday party. I added a line that said, please, no gifts and no cake. The guest of honor prefers simple. And I copied Denise and Evan and his sister, so no one could say I hid the ball. And no one objected, because no one reads every line closely when the me-server date and the place are clear. The restaurant manager asked about dessert, and I said the kitchen could send out simple plates at the end with coffee, and he said that was fine, and I made no order for candles because we were not doing that this time. We were following the rule we were given. On the day of the dinner, I arrived early with a small folder, because I like to be ready when talk turns messy, And I laid place cards so people would sit where it would help the conversation. And I checked that the sound system worked because I knew there would be toasts and I knew I would need the mic for exactly 60 seconds. People came in dressed nicely, hugs and air kisses and the small noise of a group that believes they know what the night will be. Denise wore a new dress and a proud smile, and she looked at the empty side table where a cake would normally sit, and her smile held, and she said to me that it looked elegant in its simplicity. And I said yes, because it did look elegant and simple, and I wanted her to feel both before the point landed. We ate good food and told polite stories, and midway through coffee, the room turned toward her, as rooms do, and a friend said, "Let's sing," and a cousin reached into her tote for a lighter, and that is when I stood and took the microphone, and used the calm voice I use in meetings when I need to move a room from habit to a new policy. I said this: Denise told us many times that birthdays are for children, that adults should be grateful without a fuss, and that in-laws' dates are not something she keeps. I followed her rule tonight so we can see what that rule feels like when it is applied to everyone equally, and we can decide together if this is the rule we want to keep. I held up my phone and read her exact text from last year about my birthday. I don't keep track of in-law birthdays, don't start expecting that from me. And I did not add a single word to it, and I did not put heat into my voice. I let her own words do the work they were built to do. The room went very still, the kind of still that comes when a group realizes the script they thought they knew is not the script we are reading tonight. And Denise's smile fell in a clean line like a curtain, and she said the word, "Really?" in a flat tone that was not a question. I said yes, really, because I am done pretending this small thing is small when it has been used to make me smaller, and I said, "We can cut a cake right now if you want to choose a new rule." And I waved to the manager, who had a plain sheet cake in the kitchen because I am not reckless. I am careful, and I like giving people an easy path to do the right thing after they see the wrong thing clearly. Some guests looked embarrassed. Some looked angry on my behalf. A few looked like they were doing math on silence and fairness, and Evan stood up next to me and said, "Mom, we tried to fix this quietly for 3 years and it did not move, so we are trying sunlight." And that was the first time he said it in front of other people in a way that did not let her change the subject. Denise said I was cruel, that I set her up, that I wanted to shame her, and I said I wanted to stop being the only person treated like I do not count. And I said it once and then I stopped, because repeating yourself to someone who likes the loop is how you get trapped in it. The manager rolled the cake out because someone nodded yes, and we sang, and she kept her lips sealed, and the song was short, and the candles made a small light, and the moment passed like a paper cut that stings. After the fact, we ate the cake and paid the bill, and the night ended with the kind of quiet that sits in a car seat beside you when you drive home. And Evan asked if I was okay, and I said I was steady, and that was true, because doing a hard thing cleanly gives you a special kind of calm. I slept without replaying every line because I had used her words, not mine, and I had given her a clear exit ramp, and whether she took it was on her. She called me in the morning, and I let it ring twice so my hands would not shake when I answered, and I said hello in a tone that did not offer a fight and did not offer a hug, and she started fast like people start when they want to set the frame. She said I embarrassed her in front of friends who respect her. She said I made her look small. She said family matters should be private, and I let her talk until she had no steam left, and then I said one sentence that I practiced in my head. While the kettle boiled, "You taught the rule, I followed the rule, and the rule looks bad when it lands on you, which is the only reason last night felt like humiliation." Silence does more work than many words, and the silence that came next was long enough for me to hear a car pass on the street outside, and when she spoke again, her voice was different, lower, tired, like someone laying down something heavy. She said she did not realize she had been unkind because she never needed birthdays to feel loved, and I said I believe her experience, and I also need mine respected, and that both statements can live in the same room without a fight. She said she does not like being told what to do in front of people, and I said I do not like being told I do not count year after year in private, and I chose public because private did not work, and if she wants private again, she needs to show she can hear me without changing the subject or calling me names. She took a breath you can hear on a phone line, and she asked what I wanted, and I said I wanted a rule that applies to everyone in this family the same way. Not perfect, not fancy, just consistent. And I said I wanted to stop doing the unpaid. Labor of planning events for a person who refuses to offer the smallest respect in return. She said okay, in a small voice that did not sound like defeat. It sounded like a person learning a new word and trying it on. Then she surprised me. She asked if she could host a Sunday, belated for everyone lunch the following week, her house, her menu, her list, and she wanted to make a simple board with every birthday written on it and a plan for the next 12 months, and she wanted to make mine first. I did not say yes because an apology meal fixes all. I said yes because a clear action is better than a long speech, and because I want change, not revenge. Evan and I brought flowers and paper plates, and Denise set out platters and a store-bought cake that said, "To all of us." And she started the meal by saying out loud, with the same mouth that once said I was sensitive, that she had been wrong and that she is better than the rule she used, and she looked at me while she said it, and I let that land, and I nodded once so she would know I heard her. She handed me a small box with a card in her handwriting, and the card said, "Happy late birthday, Mira," and there was nothing else inside it but a restaurant gift card and a line that said, "Next year I will cook." And I believed her, not because the card was perfect, but because the room felt new. A few relatives who were angry about the dinner got quieter as the lunch went on because people adjust when the person at the center adjusts, and what used to be an argument became a new normal with a calendar on, the wall near the pantry, and names and dates written in black marker in straight lines. We picked simple rules we could keep: a message in the morning and a call by night if you are busy, a cake if the person wants one, a pass if they do not, and no guessing or tests. Just ask people what makes them feel seen and then do that. Denise asked me to help her set reminders on her phone even though she hates reminders, and I showed her that she could put birthdays under special so they do not buzz at work, and she laughed at herself and said she is learning in her 60s how to be the kind of person who does not make other people teach her the same thing 3 times. The public humiliation did not end with her angry forever, or with me glowing like a winner. It ended with a clear sign that a family can correct itself without breaking, and that sometimes accountability looks like a microphone and a calm voice and a backup cake ready to roll when people choose better. I did not scream. I did not list. Every small thing she ever did. I did not bring old fights into a new room, and I did not chase her after the dinner to force a result. I showed her the rule in a mirror and I stood still while she faced it. The point was never to make her feel small. The point was to make the bad rule feel small so she could put it down without losing face, and that is what happened because I gave her a way to move forward without pretending last night did not happen. A month later, she texted me first on a random Tuesday to ask about my week, which is a small message until you remember how silence used to live between us. And I answered, with one detail and one question about hers, and we started to build a normal that is simple and steady and respectful, which is all I ever wanted. On Evan's next birthday, she asked me what kind of cake he likes, and then baked it herself, and when my next birthday came, she called me at 9 in the morning, not midnight, and asked if she could drop off lunch, and I said yes, and we ate. On our balcony with the coffee smell in the air, and she told a funny story about a neighbor's dog, and we laughed, and that was the day I knew the rule was gone for good. If you want to call what I did revenge, you can, but I prefer to call it a correction done in public because private did not work, and I made sure the correction matched the harm and then pointed to a better road. Now, when someone in our family forgets a date by accident, the person says sorry and fixes it the next day without drama, because we all saw how easy it is to get lazy, and how easy it is to get better if you put the same effort into kindness that you put into excuses. If you are listening and you live with a small, unfair rule that keeps repeating, remember you do not have to shout to make a change, but you do have to be clear, and sometimes you have to let other people see the rule on the person who wrote it, because nothing teaches faster than a mirror. I forgot her birthday once, in public, and what I really forgot was the habit of making myself smaller to keep the room calm, and the room is calmer now because everyone is the same size. When the calendar turns,